So Dr. Sonya Hood's been good enough to join us, the president of the Kangaroos. Sonya, welcome to you. Nice to see you.
Thanks, JB. Lovely to be here.
Now, how are you going, by the way? I suspect, and we've chatted a lot, that before you took this role on, you thought there'd be some tough moments around it. Did you ever think it'd be this tough?
No, I did not. I did think there'd be some tough moments, and there have been. That's absolutely true. I've got to say the last 24 hours has been pretty challenging.
So how is Clarko going? He's as tough a man as I've ever met, by the way, in my life. And you know, through sport, you meet some tough people,
Yes.
Alan Border, etc. He's up there with as resilient and tough a person as I know. So for him to have to relinquish a role that he looked you in the eye and said he's going to take on behalf of this great club, how's he going?
He's going every bit as you'd imagine him to be. It was a really hard decision for him and for Karen to come to. And I've got to say, I've got an incredible amount of respect for both of them for having made it. I think sometimes we let toughness get in the way of acknowledging how we're actually feeling. And the real toughness in the man is to stand up and say, I need help. And that is about the toughest thing you can do, I reckon.
No, I don't disagree with that for a second. I saw Chris Fagan quoted as saying, this deeply flawed process we've been subjected to. And Sonia, that comes out of a shambles of a report commissioned by the Hawthorn Football Club and a mess that they've just landed on the competition. What are they doing to fix it?
Yeah, what a good question. I'm not sure about that. I know the competition's doing an awful lot to try to fix it, but we're in a process now that we're 8 months since that report did land, and that's an awfully long time in which you can't defend yourself. And actually, that's a long time for everybody in the process. It's a long time for the people who told their stories and haven't properly been heard. It's a long time for the people who've had allegations made against them and haven't been able to defend themselves. And it seems to me there are an awful lot of people who've had opinions through this process, but actually we're not very far forward in terms of understanding what actually happened. And last week, the chairman of that tribunal put out a 3-page statement defending himself. He's had more opportunity to speak than any of the people who've been accused in this house.
All right, so you were faced with finding a new senior coach. Quite rightly, you went to the best coach the game's seen in the last 40 years and asked him if he would like to think about potentially coaching the North Melbourne Footy Club. During the course of all of those discussions, the Hawthorn Football Club was sitting on this report. They knew its contents, the board. Did any of them give you a heads up that you might want to just be aware that something could become public at some stage?
No. That we did our due diligence, and I want to be really clear. Given the decision, I'd make exactly the same one again, and I would hope that
Even if you had that knowledge?
if I had had the opportunity to do the due diligence that we did after the allegations became public in order to understand what we were dealing with, yeah, I'd have done it again. I think Alastair is a really good coach and a really good person. Let me reverse the order of that. Alastair Clarkson's a really good person and a really good coach. I'm not going to presuppose the outcome of this process. Everybody has the right to be heard and the right to have a process. But if we're going to not give people an opportunity off the basis of untested allegations, what kind of system are we in?
I 100% agree with everything you're saying on it. It would have been a handy thing to do though if they'd have just said, by the way.
I wouldn't have minded if they'd done it the week it became public. The first time I heard from anyone from Hawthorn was after Russell Jackson had published his piece on the ABC. I watched it unfold in a meeting 2 days earlier between the AFL and between the Hawthorn Footy Club, in a meeting that we were all in where everybody was pretending it wasn't happening, and it was. We couldn't work out what was going on. We thought someone must have got into trouble at the Brownlow the night before. And, of course, that wasn't what was going on. It was this story. I heard about it from the AFL. I never heard about it from Hawthorn until after it was in the public domain. I would like to think that if that was my club, I'd have done the opposing club president the courtesy of a call. I should also say, though, I've heard from Andy Gowers today. He's one of the first people who rang me this morning. I'm very grateful for that call and for the conversations that we've had today.
So the footy department have now got to move on. And one of the amazing things about the game is there's a game of footy coming up this weekend, and you've actually just got to get on with it. You've got some incredible people. I thought Todd Viney spoke brilliantly today on behalf of the club. You've got Brett Ratton to step in, who's an amazingly accomplished senior coach in his own right. So those are two good results. But how's everyone going within that department?
Everyone was shocked this morning, and I think everybody's reflected on the fact that Alastair's been coming to work for the last couple of months wearing, in his words, a mask. And no one wants anyone in their workplace to have to feel that way. So the first thing is everybody is absolutely in his corner to make sure he has all the time he needs to be able to come back and be well. In terms of the footy department, we didn't just change the coach last year. We changed the structure of that department. We didn't. There are a lot of people who have stayed, but we've had some really handy additions. And the focus on the whole club is people and on making sure that we're not ever tied to one person driving our success. So as important as Clarko is and as good as he is, he'll step out, he'll take the time he needs, and the guys will pick up with the system. They know what the system is, they know what the plan is, and they will keep going.
Was there a tipping point? We saw him have a go at Hawthorn a couple of weeks ago. Do you think there's been a tipping point the last week or so?
I reckon it's a bit like boiling the frog, to be perfectly honest. You know, you don't know it's getting worse until all of a sudden you look down and your legs are ready to be served on toast. I think there's been an element for him where this has just kept going and there's been no ability to speak back. He's lost friendships over it. He's had increasingly acrimonious relationships with a place that he spent 17 years of his life.
4 premierships.
4 premierships. Last week, with a group of under 18s, he told a story that he's told heaps of times before. Everyone's heard him tell it. He tells it. It's a story about growth, and firstly, it's leaked. Secondly, it's reported by several reporters as him having a go
at Sam Mitchell.
And because that's the lens that everybody's looking at stuff through now.
Yeah, which is a shame. And that's why it's so sad. But it's a big call from Clarko because, you know him too better than I, but he loves footy and he loves his players. And to make this call, it's bloody sad.
It's really sad. And what he said to me yesterday was, I want to feel the love again, and I'm not doing the right thing by the players. I can't stand there, and if I can't give my all, it's not the right thing by them or by the club. And I want him to know, and I told him this yesterday, mate, as good as you are, and you are good, we'll be right because we've put in place with you this system. We'll be right. You go and take the time you need. You've got all the time in the world to do what you need.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question now as a North Melbourne fan. 17, 18, 18 the last 2 years. Now, first 2 games a win and then, 6 in a row or 7 in a row? I actually don't know. 7. How patient are North Melbourne fans going to have to be?
Yeah, pretty patient, I reckon. We've pretty patient, but I think it's like everything. When it turns, it'll start to turn quickly. We've had a lot of change in 4 years. We're all aware of that. I can't undo that. It is what it is. We've brought in the best coach of the modern era, arguably the best coach of the modern era, and a really good team around him to fix it. It's incumbent on all of us to sit back and let them do that job. We're not going to not hold them to account, but they know what they're doing and they're ambitious. And there are some things, we've talked about this before, you can't fast-track games into kids. You've just got to let those happen. There are probably issues that people are dealing with having had so much change in the last 4 years as players, that habits that they've got to relearn or get out of their system. And that plan and that game plan have to click and with those players, and that'll come. It'll come.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Because you've had your own
battles,
issues to deal with. And
I honestly can't recommend cancer. So if anyone's got that on their life list, I'd take that off.
Yep.
But if you do have to have it, it is... we are in a seriously first world health system here, and B, you find out how many people love you, and that's not a bad thing either. Yeah.
Is there a chance that Clarko mightn't coach again?
I would be, look, there's always a chance, isn't there? But no, I am really confident he will be back and coaching the North Melbourne Football Club. We were talking about a step away yesterday. We haven't put a time frame on it because I don't want him to feel any pressure. I don't need everybody in the world's media lining up at the club on the day that he's supposed to be back. And because actually there's no game plan for this. We can't pull out the, last time this happened because it hasn't happened like this before.
What about the resolution to it? When are we going to finally get this thing resolved so that all parties can move on, do you think?
Well, the person who needs sitting in this seat to ask that question of is Gil McLachlan or or Dills. One of those will answer that question for you.
Have you got a feel for that?
I reckon it's probably close, but I've been saying that for a while now. And again, the resolution's part of it, but the damage that's done by 8 months of silence and of the things that have gone on in the background, that's going to take longer to heal. The thing I'm asking is that at the end of it, the game steps back. As an industry, we step back and look at that and say, how could we have done that better? Because everybody went into this, I'm sure, with really good intentions. There are things there we could have done better.
Nick Riewoldt.
Oh, here he is.
Get out of my face.
I've got to have a look at him.
Get out of it.
He's had a dusting, Jim. He's had a dusting. The choppers. Have a look at him.
You got to fit in over there, Bill.
In Texas.
I can't look at him, Jim.
You got to fit in, Bill.
They look good. Geez, they're
Oh, I
white.
brushed them. You should try it.
All I see are big white chompers.
Oh, come on, Rats. This is a stitch up. I've been here 30 seconds.
Yeah, sorry. Great to see you, but geez, there.
People have actually asked me since I've been back, good to see you back. What do you miss the most? And I did say, I miss coming in and working with you when James is on holidays. That's bullshit. I take it back. Go and get stuffed.
What do you miss the most? I was going to ask you that because there'd be some things here in Victoria, Australia, the Herald Sun, or I don't know, some
Yeah.
footy, roadworks. What do you miss the most?
Well, people.
People, yes.
Miss the people.
The
obviously.
Aussie
Miss
humour?
that, and obviously family and friends. I miss the footy.
Yeah.
And just the little things. I miss being able to walk up in the morning, coffee shop where I go, super random, opens at 5:40. Miss being able to walk up in the morning and get a good coffee.
Good coffee.
A good coffee, because it is rubbish over there. But it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
It has been absolutely awesome. So the kids are fully integrated into American life. They're going to school. They're playing sport. The boys just finished baseball season, which was unbelievable. Why? Just because Americans just do things differently, and it's just on another level over there. So the day we arrived into Houston, we'd been at their house for 30 minutes. I saw the neighbours across the road, the dad out the front playing catch with his kid. Oh. I'm like, I'm going to meet the neighbours, and Kath was like, you stink, you haven't had a shower. I'm like, no, stop it. I'm going to meet the neighbours. I walk over. I go to the little fella, you play baseball? He goes, yeah, I'm playing in the Pee-wee 8s. I said, my boys signed up for the Pee-wee 8s too. So I yell out to James, come over. And James is a big kid. Yeah. He's a monster. And the dad goes, he's playing Pee-wee 8s. He's a thumper.
Oh, yes.
He goes, I didn't see him at the tryout day. Oh. I said, the tryout day? What are you talking about? He goes, yeah, the tryout day last week. We've got the draft tonight, and I didn't see him at the tryout day. Oh. The draft, Bill.
They haven't got a draft.
For Pee-wee 8s.
Pee-wee 8s, they do a tryout day and then a draft.
Wow.
So imagine all the kids in South Melbourne going to the tryout, and then they have a draft. Unbelievable. So you don't reckon there's ugly parents here. Yeah. The ugly parent syndrome over there from these dads that have carried their clipboards around, they've done the scouting, and it's full on.
So what's James, a pitcher, or what's he do?
No, he played first base. Yes. And batted in the clean-up slot, so batted 4.
Yeah, batted 4.
Batted 4, which was a good spot. But they were rubbish. James's team, the Wildcats, early in the season, and they came home strong, and they made it all the way to the Pee-wee Championship.
Oh, and
runners-up, Bill. So it's runs in the family.
Do they have the national anthem and all that on grand final?
Every game.
Oh, no.
Every game.
Do they?
Every game. Every game, and then every kid gets a walk-up song when they walk up to bat. So James had Back in Black by Akadaka, good boy. Yeah. And, unbelievable. And they also live stream the games. Wow. So I was able to watch the championship game last week on my phone, live stream, under 8s.
Do they have barbecues or briskets or whatever they do?
Biscuits, did you say?
Briskets.
Brisket, They do. That's our little Sunday ritual. Take the boys for... bit of Texas barbecue.
Well, my wife-to-be's son plays baseball in Sandy for the Royals, I think they're the Royals. And so I've seen a few of his games, and there's lots of American people involved in it. They're the most positive people on the planet.
Yeah, it's great.
They see everything through a positive lens.
Absolutely. It's a very glass half full type society over there. That's what I've found at least. And now, so I guess sort of working, having a real job for the first time ever, it's open for business. People are really interested in what you're doing. discussing ways where there might be ways to collaborate. And I think the fact that you're Australian as well, it always lends itself pretty well to anywhere in the world, but particularly the States.
Do you play on it a bit?
Always, always, Bill. You got to play. You got to play on it a little bit.
So what do you tell them? Like,
you just like a lot of mates.
Yeah,
mate, how you going, mate? Like, I drop mate into a conversation. I actually got told that I had to drop mate out of my work emails.
Oh.
You can't say, g'day, mate, to start an email. Like,
Why not?
Well, just a little bit more professional.
Oh, I see. Right.
What is your business?
It's a technology solutions business called PMY, so end-to-end technology solutions in predominantly major sporting events and stadiums.
So just break it down a little bit for those who mightn't understand that.
So take a stadium, for example.
Yes.
They have a lot of technological infrastructure within the venue.
Mm-hmm.
So we provide the full end-to-end solution. So master technology strategy and advice, design of the tech stack, procurement and deployment of the technology, and then operational support. We provide data solutions for all the data coming in. Bill, you follow?
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, all of that sort of
You
stuff.
lost him at the start of this sentence.
Wi-Fi.
So PMY is the company, and we've got a big footprint over there now. It's going really well.
We need to have a little break here because there's a couple of things we need to work out.
Yes.
First of all, I've seen this Rui's exclusive A-list boys trip.
Yeah.
No more A-listers in this state than
You or I.
So I don't remember going on any trip.
Oh, I can't.
Anyway, we'll get to that next. And we love
Houston.
him, of course,
How's Houston?
Great.
How big is it?
It's, I think, in the top 5 cities in the States.
Oh, it's bloody big.
Yeah, it's big,
Yeah.
hot, it's a swamp.
Any problems?
No. Driving a big truck.
What's the
You'd be proud of me,
big
Bill.
pickup.
Big F1,
Oh,
big
t-
F-150.
150?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, to
do you
drive-
back it in or do you,
What
when
do
you park?
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, you got it.
You can't drive in Fords. It's got the worst turning circle ever, but gee, I feel tough in it.
And then you get out. All these cowboys are gathered around,
they got
and
the
then
hat.
old Chompers gets out with his hat on.
Hat and boots.
Get out in my skinny jeans. And, I'm a fraud.
Have you got the ranch?
Well, it's not mine,
No,
but
no,
yeah, got some nice land down near the Mexican border, Bill.
How's that going?
It's good.
You used to go down there and shoot and carry on.
Never.
Bull-
Never.
What did you used to do on the ranch then?
Just have a swim and cook some steaks.
Bonfires.
Exactly. Take the kids horse riding.
Now, I'm just looking here at this Cobram Estate private plane trip
yes,
that's
Jim.
just happened. and
What
I see
is this?
Cool group of mates.
A cool group of
And,
mates.
and then I see, of course, Gary Lyon and Eric Banner, and then I see Dylan Buckley and Brendan Favol. What I don't see is B. Brownless or Jay Brayshaw, a part of what looks like it must have been a very nice day.
a cool group.
It was a fun day, James, and I do have a list, and so next year's harvest, you'll be right at the top of the list.
Oh, fair dinkum.
I just didn't think it would be the sort of thing you'd be interested in.
I
Bill.
love oil. I love olive oil.
Extra virgin.
Well, Cobram, I grew up near Cobram, of course. Steve
Right.
Hocking and
Yep.
Buddha Hocking, they're from Cobram. John Barnes was from Cobram.
Right.
This is Cobram Estate, so I assumed it was up there, but it's up,
It's Boundary Bend.
which is right up near, what is it, Hose? Mildura. That's it.
Yeah, so it's right
miles
up
away.
there on
Yeah.
the
Murray.
on the Murray River. Unbelievable operation they've got going up there. So they've got these harvesters up there that are, they shake the olive trees and all of the olives fall down and it catches it and it spits it out. They've got 25 of them. They're $1 million a pop.
No.
Like, unbelievable.
Are they John Deere things?
No, they're custom built.
Oh,
Custom
they'd have to
built
be to get into
specifically to wrap around the olive tree,
So-
and so an incredible Australian success story. And like,
I'm assuming there's a relationship between you and Cobram Estate.
yes, there is.
Right, okay.
Yes. So post Master Chef, there was a
Right,
bit of a,
right.
yes, a little bit of it.
Nice.
But very proud to be
Makes
an
the money
ambassador
go
for them.
round.
Well, no, it makes the world go
Ambassador.
round, James. But
Well,
yeah, very
everyone
proud to
goes
be an
wrong.
ambassador, and it's an incredible operation up there, and a fantastic product.
They make more olive oil there than the whole of America.
Yep.
That's unbelievable.
More extra virgin olive oil.
So
That's
no,
right.
Joey, what about your mate?
Nah, Joey was he was in here. He was doing the midweek grub.
Dal?
He's coaching, I think, yesterday.
Troy Swartz.
He's working real estate on Wednesdays. Yeah.
None of
Are
his.
you going to go through
I'm
any
trying
more?
to think of a couple others.
Well, you got
Brad
to.
Milne?
Has to be a bit of give and take.
Oh,
There has to be a little
really?
bit. Has to be a little bit of return on investment.
Hey, the Saints, how you see? Do you get to watch over there? Do you get the games on replay? Or how
Yeah,
do
you get the games. It's tough with the time zone. My boys are filthy on me because that's the first time we've actually been any good in a while.
Yes.
Well, probably in their entire lifetimes, and I've dragged them away. So,
Yep.
But no, keeping up with it, fantastic to see what they've been able to do, and clearly Ross has come in and had a huge impact. Set some really high standards down there. They've done a lot with not much too. Like their injury list has been really significant. I see the big boys back this week, which is exciting. Big Max King, but still follow it closely, and proud of the group.
I have. And Roscoe, have you spoken to him?
I've spoken to Rossi.
Yeah, good.
I've caught up with all the Saints boys.
Oh, you have?
Of course I have.
Well, it doesn't sound like it. The old cool group, they didn't get a mention.
Well, I have to go to blokes that don't work during the day, and so us regular folk, we've all got jobs during the day.
What did they say about your chompers? Because footy, that's what you love about footy clubs.
How do you reckon it went?
I would have loved to have been there.
I was the absolute punching bag at the best of times, Bill. So it was relentless. Half an hour before, I just wanted to order entrees, and I couldn't even read the menu.
Now, the other thing we,
love
of
that.
course, loved, Bill, was it got to Super Bowl time.
Oh, yes.
And suddenly we're just all fixated with it, and we're watching ESPN.
Yeah,
And then our man
you saw the teeth.
just bopped up out of nowhere.
On the grass.
Who did we speak to?
Ben
Ben
Graham.
Graham? Have a listen to Benny.
And did I see the alpaca? Nick Riewoldt down there on the grass also.
I ran into Nick, yes, down on the field before the game. He looked very pretty. He had his beautiful blonde locks,
Yes.
were not a hair out of place. He had the makeup.
The
It was
teeth.
just, yes.
I think Yes. Now, how was that? Because that's your dream.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. My cheeks hurt the whole week from smiling because I've been, I've
You're a
loved
lover of the game.
American, lover of the game and American sports, and also a lover of the commentary around it, the shows and the way they put together their broadcasts, and so some of the faces. So to get the call from ESPN was it was out of the blue and it was bizarre, and so I went off not really knowing what to expect, but all of the ESPN staff and on-air talent were staying in the same hotel. So the first person I bumped into was Stephen A. Smith, who I've watched on TV just about every day for the past 10 years, and just kept bumping into these people, and ended up sitting on panels with people that I've just loved watching as a fan. So I was really fanboying the whole week, and it was great. And then to go to my first Super Bowl, be able to stand on the grass. I had a nice little moment where my pass meant that I needed to be off the ground 90 minutes before kickoff.
Right.
So me and Aaron, the other guy, we kind of ran the gauntlet and said, well, let's see how long we can actually stay out here for. And we were right on the sideline up until about 15 minutes before, and I turned over my shoulder, and there was this sort of roped off area for less important people. And I looked over my shoulder, and there was Gil McLaughlin behind. Gil was behind the rope, and I just thought, "Suck it, Gil! Like, how good is this?" So that was a bit of a highlight. But absolute pinch myself week.
Great.
And ongoing?
It was great.
Next.
Well, I hope so.
Oh,
I've been trying to get sort of a bit of time off to go to the Super Bowl every year for the last 10 years and haven't been able to arrange it. So, if we make it back next year, well, then I might have to write it into the contract.
Can you remember talking to us?
Yes, I can.
No, you were
I
pissed.
can.
You were pissed.
You and Days.
No, you'd
was
had
you
a
and-
few.
You're
couple. Oh, God, you should have heard him.
Well, I actually had to walk out of dinner. I've got the panic. So I was like, oh no, I've got to do this bloody interview. What time is it? I can't even see straight. But there you go.
Hey, good to see you,
Great
mate.
to see you, mate.
Good to see you.
Great to catch up.
Good on you, Nicholas.
Nick Riewoldt on the Rush Hour, Triple M.
Joke just caught me on the hop, Jim. I just, found one. Here we go. Don't know if
Well,
you'll-
why do I get the feeling that this is all preparation to get us ready for the fact that this is going to be a woeful
No,
joke?
it's a good joke. Might have heard it before, but
Oh, God.
I can count on one hand how many times I've been to Chernobyl, Jim. Yep. 27 times. Look at him in
So
disgust.
you wouldn't say 7 times maybe, so it's sort of remotely going to work.
Well, I've been
so
there.
you got 27 fingers, have you?
Well, I've been there a couple of times. So first time was 7, then it went to 14.
So people trying to chuckle at a really poor joke are trying to sort of visualise a finger times
hand.
27 on a hand.
Yes, Jim. It's a joke.
Oh, no,
I wouldn't visualise too much.
Oh, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't go visualising.
Visualising.
Good joke.
No,
good
it's not.
show. Well done.
That's
Hear that
not a good
music?
joke.
Oh, wet blanket over there.
I'll tell you what I'm
Damien?
doing. I'm going away tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
coming back next week.
Don't come back.
And I'm going there.
Good.
Because if that shit gets subpart, then I need to reintroduce myself to the desk.
27. That's
Oh,
it.
yeah. 27.
Fingers, old
No,
fingers.
yeah, that's it.
Fingers Finlay.
Yeah.